challenges, right? Because you're always evaluating what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million, and they're different. Right? They range differently from everyone, but and from country to country, to be fair. Different countries have different tax laws, so different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies, and then you step up into different things.
Hi guys, welcome back to the show. It's your girl Sarah right here on Relaks Radio, and we're getting very, very close to the final of this show, all right? And don't worry, because I'll be here to keep you company all the way until 9 a.m. as well. So I have so much more to share with you as well, and hopefully Heba will be here as well to share, our thoughts and to share our opinions with you, so we can have a much, much more interesting, much, much more wholesome conversation with regard to everything that is happening around the world. All right. Now you're tuned in to Relaks Radio, and you're on the Sunrise with me, Sarah, and I will keep you company rather all the way until 9 a.m. All right. So if you have any thoughts, if you have any opinions that you would like to share with me, please feel free to go ahead and do that. All you need to do is just text me or call me on 078-52473-473. Share your thoughts, share your opinions. Let me know what your thoughts are with regard to whatever it is that we are talking about. All right. And it's very, very important for you to keep in mind as well that you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Okay. And don't forget to download our app either, because that's available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. And, you can share your thoughts and opinions with me as well. So now let's actually talk about gambling and groceries. What exactly does this mean? Now, earlier we were talking about gambling. We were talking about how some of the the highest concentration of gambling outlets were in fact in the most poorest parts of the country, right? And why exactly is that a problem? The reason that's a problem is obviously because, we're talking about gambling, we're talking about poor people. And, something with poor people is that when it comes to people who are not economically, stable, people who aren't in a good financial situation, when you have these gambling outlets in poor parts of the city, you're essentially preying on these people and you're exploiting these people, because that A, they're not, they have, some of them have a gambling addiction, and B, they're poor. Right. And when you're not economically, stable, when you're not financially stable, what you would do is you would try to gamble your money. So then because you think you can actually win more money. Right. And that's just how it works. Right. So it's important to keep that in mind as well. And also something else we were talking about is, the fall of Waitrose, right? Basically, how Waitrose was rated Britain's worst large online retailer for grocery freshness, and this was according to a research that was conducted, right? And obviously, this comes about because there was a research that was done by which basically investigated how fresh and how long these perishable goods would last, right? Now, Tesco was basically on top of the list with 11 days of freshness, and then we had Asda, which had 10.5 days of freshness, and Ocado with 10.4, and last of all, we actually had Waitrose with basically 8.6 days of freshness. All right, so it's important to keep that in mind as well, and make sure you stay tuned, because we're going to head into a small break now, and after that we will be back to discuss more of this. So until then, make sure that you stay tuned. Welcome back to the show. It is Sarah, and you're on the Sunrise, and I'm super, super excited to be here because we're having a very informative and wholesome conversation with regard to gambling, with regard to groceries, and even offshore Afghan resettlement. All right. Now, like I spoke to you earlier, we know that the situation in Afghanistan is in fact quite terrible. It's quite heartbreaking, and it's very, very sad as well, right? Because you're seeing all of these women, these children, these men, who even men who have helped, the United States, have helped the United Kingdom, actually being abandoned at this point of time when they need help the most, right? And ever since the Taliban took control of Kabul, or took control of Afghanistan, things actually haven't been as easy for people who live in Afghanistan. All right, so make sure to share your thoughts and make sure to share your opinions with me, because I would love to hear what you have to say. All you need to do is just text me or call me on 07852473473. Share your thoughts, share your opinions, and that will definitely help me and you have an amazing, interesting conversation that will actually help all of us to help all of us understand everything that is happening in the world. All right, so make sure to keep that in mind as well, and don't forget to download the app, because the app is available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, and you can actually make sure that you're always informed, that you're always updated about all of these things, and you're letting us know what your thoughts and opinions on this are as well. Okay, so don't forget to get in touch with me, share your thoughts, share your opinions, and let me know what you are thinking about what is happening in the world, right? And now let's very quickly talk about the offshore settlement for Afghan refugees, right? Now, here in Britain, we actually plan to establish these offshore settlement centers for Afghan refugees in countries like Pakistan and countries like Turkey, because those countries are the closest to Afghanistan, right? And they can actually help people in Afghanistan. So people who need to immediately evacuate because their lives are at risk, because they are at a risk, right? So it's important to keep that in mind. Right now, like I said, about 1,430 Afghans have actually been evacuated from Kabul since last Friday, and there's almost a similar amount of people who are still stuck in Kabul, right? Who are still stuck in Afghanistan, who have helped Britain during their 20 years in Afghanistan, and who immediately need evacuation. But it's hard to obviously get them out, because there's only a certain amount of days that these troops can stay in Afghanistan as well. That's 31st of August, and after that they can't stay, right? And obviously, the Taliban themselves actually issued a statement saying, look, if troops actually extended their stay, that would be, and that would in fact be a red line here in Afghanistan, right? So that is what is happening now. The emergency airlift, which was continuing on Sunday as well, with RAF flights operating despite a crush at the airport gates, are as desperate, because they want to try and move all of these Afghans who are trying to flee as soon as possible, right? Now, NATO actually believes that about 20 people have died in the airport last week, and Britain's Armed Force Minister James Heappey has also said that the flow outside the airport had improved, because the Taliban was in fact marshalling people into separate queues for the United States. All right, so that is the very latest on what is happening here in the United Kingdom, and the plans that we have for our future as well. And hopefully we will be able to help all of these people in Afghanistan who are trying to flee the country. All right, but I will be back in a few minutes to talk about Afghanistan, to talk about journalists who finally won their right to actually come back to Britain to help these people, and also we're going to be talking about these offshore resettlement centers as well. So until then, make sure you stay tuned, because I will